Hi, my name is Mac, and my promise to you is that you're going to be able to design a whole running season schedule, the skeleton, the bones, and so that you can plug in your favorite things to do with running. And that is to get you faster, not burn out, and not get injured. The reason that I can do this for you is because I've been running since 2008. I have run at a D2 national level, been to nationals multiple times, 506 in the mile, sub 17, 5K PR, and I've helped plenty of athletes get faster without injury, without burnout. So I'm gonna help you do the same. And my plan is what we're gonna do is we have our framework. It's called the 4 B's of a training season. So we have the base, the build, the breakthrough, and the burst. So those are the 4 key parts to designing your running season. Okay. So, excuse me. What we want to focus on is kind of what goes in each one and how long each phases of the training are. So, the first one we're going to talk about is the base part. Now, it is important that we go in this correct order, and then you can repeat this as many times as you want. I would say in a year span, you usually want to have about 3 to 4 running seasons, and those can last anywhere from like 12 to 20 weeks, depending on what kind of race you have. If you're a shorter 5K race, you might go a little bit shorter. If you're newer to running, it'll be shorter. If you are more experienced, you're doing like marathon, half marathon, trail race, you'll probably go on the longer end, 16, 20 weeks, 18, kind of up in that range. So let's start with the base. The base. So usually that's going to be around 4 to 6 weeks. This is the one that you have to set up first. If you don't set up your base, just like when you're building a house, it is going to crumble and it is going to fall. You have to build your base. When I came off of postpartum running, I went way too fast through my base phase and I just tried to like pick up where I left off almost right after college when I had been running really competitively and I had taken most of my pregnancy off, the second half of my pregnancy off from running, and I got injured. So you have to set up your base really well for you. And so that's when you want to just slowly start adding in miles and seeing how your body reacts. And this is a great way to add in strength. And I recommend really the only two like workouts that you want to do are strength work for sure. Like if you can get in the gym or if you have home like workout weights, please do that. Build your strength. That is what's going to keep you from getting injured. If you don't have that, another good workout to first kind of do, which I really don't recommend too many workouts in your base phase, but if you want to like kind of get excited for it, is hills. So doing like 45 seconds up a hill hard, like 4, 6, 7, 8 repeats will kind of build up over time. You could do that, like I recommend 3 times when you first start out. And then you could do strides or surges. Those are like quick little running bursts that you can do. I'll do a whole nother video on workouts in there specifically, but I just want to cover the bones of what it looks like. So bases set the foundation of your running. You have to get those miles in, and this has to feel good. Like if you feel injured or if you feel like you're burning out, you're going too much, you have not set your base well. So take that one slow, intentional, build the strength. The second one that we're going to go to is our build phase. So this is where we start stacking the bricks. Okay, we start putting one thing on top of the other. So this is when you start to add in your first workout. That's the first thing that I recommend because it's fun. It's exciting to get fast. Fartleks are a great one. Ones are a great one. Anything that isn't pace based, because when you're first starting your running season, it's so easy to compare yourself to where you've been, where other people are. And you kind of just want to focus on how you feel effort wise. So do that stuff. I recommend doing one workout and then you want to start to add in a long run. So that should be once a week. You want to add it on kind of once you start getting in the groove of a workout. You can choose which one you want to do first. I usually recommend the workout because it's fun to kind of get fast, get moving. But slowly build up your long run over time. That's going to be the longest run of your plan of your week, and you just want to keep slowly adding like 1 mile to it at a time. Don't go too fast. I usually like to do like if I'm building up to a half marathon, sometimes it's good to do like 8-8 and then do 9-9 and then 10-10, like just kind of slowly building depending on how much time you have and how many miles you've run in the past and like what kind of experienced of a runner you are. So build phase, you continue to add the mileage, you start adding in workouts, and then you start adding in a long run. Then I would say in the build phase, you have the option to go for a second workout. If you're newer, I do not recommend it. But usually when you are in your build phase, you can kind of focus on two different things. So if you're focused on speed for one workout, you might do like more tempo, steady pace for your second workout, and kind of hitting different parts of the overall runner so that you're not burning out or overdoing one specific pace. Okay. Then once you establish so we have your base, miles, and strength, then we have your build. That's where you start to add more mileage slowly each week. A good rough number is like adding 2, 3, 4 miles every week, depending on where you're at. If you're newer, it's going to be like 2, 3 miles. If you're more experienced, you can kind of jump up a little bit quicker to where you used to be. But just you should be able to kind of check in with your body, see how it's feeling. Okay, so build, we add in more miles, we add in a workout, we add in a long run. You have the option to do a second workout if you're more experienced. Then the breakthrough, which is our third piece right here, the 4 B's of our training. Breakthrough is when we start really getting more intentional with our workouts. So if you're going to add a second one, again, you can try in the breakthrough phase to add a second workout, but this is when workouts start getting harder, longer, we increase more intensity. We see some of those workouts from the build phase. We see those again in the breakout phase. And then this is the breakthrough phase. You want to start adding in race pace workouts. So if you're doing a 5K, you're going to have workouts that help you practice hitting that goal race pace and seeing if that is something that you can actually maintain in your workouts. Or if you're doing a marathon, you have marathon pace workouts to help you practice hitting that. And you don't want to overdo it. That's why I think the breakthrough phase is so important, is because we're trying to break through, hit those paces, and really focus in. So the big key thing in the breakthrough is really continuing most of that build phase. Breakthrough is adding in that more race specific, and then just being more intentional, adding more, stacking those bricks. And this is where you have to be careful. Your breakthrough is where you can actually start to break. So you have to be intentional about not going over that line and not pushing yourself too far. So this is where, yes, we can increase the intensity, but we don't want to like jump up 5, 10 miles. Breakthrough is honestly where you will kind of start to like teeter out at where your top mileage is. You almost like in your build, you're kind of jumping and jumping and jumping with your weekly mileage, and then your breakthrough, you're kind of just like, oh, just a little bit at a time, so that you can really focus on hitting those big workouts and really getting the most that you can out of those. Okay, then the last phase. So base, strength, miles, build, we just add in a workout, a long run, maybe an optional workout, and then a second workout, and then breakthrough is when we add in our race pace. Now, the burst is we are bursting out our bubble. We are going all in. This is when we get really close. So I forgot to go over the weeks. So base, like I said, 4 to 6 weeks long. Build, 4 to 6. Breakthrough, 4 to 6. Burst is really the only different one. Burst is really short. Build can be longer if you need it. But burst is right at the end before your race. This is like what you would typically hear, your taper. If you have a 5K, 10K mile, you are not going to taper out as long. You might only taper like 4, 5, 7 days. If you're a marathon trail runner, this is probably max 14 days. Usually your marathon, you peak like 3 weeks out, your longest long run for your marathon, your trail race. But do not make the mistake of, when you are in your burst phase, of bringing your mileage down a ton. When you get to like the last 2 weeks, let's say, you want to start to like the second week out, maybe bring it down like a couple miles, and then bring it down a couple more miles that last week. But the real big thing is almost bringing your long run down. So if you're marathoning, your 3 weeks out might be like your top, like 22, 23, 24, sometimes 20 miles, and then bring it down to like 16, 17, 18, depending on your feel. And then the week before, it's going to be like 8 to like 12, depending again how experienced of a runner you are. But taper is when we You don't pull off the gas completely. Do not make that mistake. Otherwise, you feel sluggish and you almost taper way too early. So you still want to include your weekly workout. You want to include strength. You want to include all the things that you're doing, just less of it. So your easy runs, if it's 5 miles, you might want to bring it down to 4 or 3. In your workouts, this is where we still practice our race pace, but it is you're never going all out in a workout. You do not want to do that. The work is already done. The hay is in the barn, all of that stuff. You don't want to go. You just want to feel good. You want to have good form. You want to just feel fast, feel smooth, and your workout intensity isn't as intense, and then you have less reps and you have more rest time in between those hard reps. Okay, so never go all out, but your taper is about anywhere from like 5 days to 14-ish days. And again, it's not 20 miles less in your week. It's not dropping a ton. It's just pulling back a little bit so you start to feel fresh. And then another sign of that is that you kind of can start to get cranky if you are more the marathoner type of girl or boy. So again, real quick, base 4 to 6 weeks, stack, strength, miles. Build is when we start adding in a workout, a long run, maybe an optional second one. And then breakthrough is when we start to add race pace workouts. We really start to like increase the intensity and the length of our workouts. You want to see some of the workouts more than once. And then burst is the taper where we pull back just a little bit in workouts, and we feel good, and we don't push, we don't go all out in anything. So those are the 4 B's of training. So I really hope you enjoyed that. I'm sure I will put some stuff in the description for you. And I hope this helped. Let me know.